Yo, what is going on? Last night I was so tired. Uh, so I remember there was one comment. I was looking at that chapter, reacting to that chapter. I was literally. Somebody was like, God, I don't even think this guy remembers uploading this. Well, takes, I guess if you were pretty fucked up, uploading something would be a monumental task. Fortunately for me, about the most I do is I drink sparkling water. This is not me trying to get sponsorships, by the way, bubbly. Even though I used to love Izzy's. Oh my god, who remembers Izzy-esque? They used to have this watermelon flavor. I shit you not. Um, I would buy a case every payday, every Friday. Go to Whole Foods, buy a case of that shit. Oh my god, I love that. So yeah, last night I was like, man, I am so tired. I was watching Nuke's top five, even though it's more like top 10 now. Um, but tonight, going to Maiko, that chapter, my favorite content creator. For all the haters out there who, you're riding his coattails. Why don't you come up with something a little bit more original than, you know, going after other people's stuff? Guess what? I am. Um, I got my eyes on the camera here. Right now, I just have a Logitech Brio that's attached, but the camera that I'm going after is pretty badass. So I'm gonna start, hitting the streets like a reporter. No, I'm playing. No, I'm gonna get this camera, uh, come up with some original shit, uh, do some traveling. I have a buddy of mine who I'm gonna interview. He's not famous or anything, but this dude is fucking hilarious, man. Why he didn't end up being a comedian, I mean, the stories that this guy could tell is just, yeah, bar none. Um, when my movie releases, I'm gonna do some behind the scenes stuff. I know they already have, behind the scenes footage and all that stuff, but talk to some of the actors involved, um, some of the ones that aren't too famous that I got to work besides. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. But before I uh, before I progress here, I got sent from one of my subscribers something just awesome. So I'm gonna pause it right quick, pull it up. I love this. This is so awesome. All right, here's the first one. I absolutely love this. This is cool. Look at how cool that is. Now, I'm not all big on Star Wars or whatever, but somebody told me that's from Rebel, Star Wars Rebel, because his eyes are red. Um, of course, you have Tony Stark shooting something out. The cool thing is, let's see here. Is it this one? Nope, did that one. Look at that. His helmet comes up. How cool is that? I'm totally digging that. That is awesome. So, thank you to the subscriber. I gave her the option, and she's like, "Yeah, just go in, keep me anonymous." So, respecting her wishes, but that is badass. So, without further ado, let's get into Julia Ronson and the Apartment of Horrors. Julia Ronson disappeared from the town of Dudley, UK in 2019. Sometimes I like US. Let's see here. I don't know if you guys seen this one, but this one's pretty fucked up. I hate this piece of shit. You know what? Let me see if I did this one. Pause it right quick. Okay, viewer discretion is advised because I'm going to be cussing up a storm. Let's see if that's loud enough. I remember the first time I seen this piece of shit and I was like, you know what? I really, granted I have no horse in the race, but I really wish I was stuck in a room with this little motherfucker and just... Usually I don't have pent-up aggression. I don't have pent-up aggression now. But what a little piece of shit. He's only acting all cocky because he knows no one can do anything to him right now. Well, right now, I'm sure he's being someone's little bitch, but at that moment, he was in, they put him away from, the general population. So, he acted all cocky and everything, but I bet you he was like that. Whoever watches that 60 Days In, and I think it was the first season, that robber guy, I bet you he was like him. Just a scared little bitch to go into general population. I remember watching that and I'm like thinking to myself, like, if I went to jail, yeah, I'm sure I'd be, I'm a big guy. 6'5", 230. I used to box, but I did get knocked down my first two bouts in the first 30 seconds. See, that's what happens when you play or when you go in a sport that goes by weight and not by age. But after that, I learned. But yeah, I would have been scared shitless. But in a controlled environment like that dude went into, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but still, this little shit just. I remember seeing him multiple times and asking myself, like, who the fuck is that? Just some little cocky piece of shit mother... Okay. I'm going off here. Alright, so let's get started here. Alright, I took a little bit longer than what I expected, but anyways, let's carry on with this. This fucking piece of shit asshole. I think you'll agree with me. You guys have probably seen his face, but yeah. I guarantee you he has a face that you just want to punch, slap, kick, whatever. Alright, let's get into this piece of shit.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, what I have for you today is a story, like I guess I usually do. But this one is not the easiest one. I mean, more so than usual. But what's not unusual is where it is set. That is in the honorary, that chapter home state of Ohio. Can I have one of those, like, giant keys now? Please? This is a story of tragedy, of evil, and of community. Again, I mean, I think those could apply to any of the stories I tell that are set in Ohio, really. Where we are is northern Ohio, not far from the banks of big ol' Lake Erie. Well, I got something eerie here for you, pal. And that's a guy named TJ Lane. Lame, though he thought he was hot, when he was just regular. So let's give it a go. In Gauga County, I probably butchered that. The seat be Chardin. That's where you'd arrest those dogs, and it lies within the snow belt of the Great Lakes. What does that mean? I mean, I'm telling you, I should probably look it up. Basically, it gets a lot more snow than the rest of Ohio because of, Well, like, okay, didn't really need to look that up. The town is named after one Peter Chardin Brooks. He was a wealthy merchant from Massachusetts. Basically just an big old-timey rich guy. Can you imagine if we named towns now after rich people? Sick in your arse. The centre of Chardin was in fact largely destroyed about 150 years ago due to a big fire, according to Wikipedia, which means it must be true, and the fire started in the grocery store of one Parlin Parkins. Fucking Parlin Parkins up to no good as usual. But the town was quickly rebuilt, and that's how it exists today. It's fairly small, only about 5,000 people reside, and by all accounts it's pretty decent. Low crime rate, a family suburban, type dealio, plenty of restaurants and parks, trails if you're into that sort of thing, and there's a couple of schools there too. On the north end of town, you got Chardin High School. And that's where our story begins, the effects of which still ring out over a decade later. On the 27th of February 2012, the Chardin High School was open. It was a Friday morning, classes hadn't begun yet, but students were gathering around and yapping away before the bell rang out and classes would begin. At roughly 7:30 AM, American schools begin so early. Students were gathering in the cafeteria, milling about, having some brekkie. No,
You know, I'm a little late on that, but I know China and Japan, they are fucking insane when it comes to school, but for good reason. It's kind of sad though that Japan has one of the highest suicide rates, but China is just insane with their school. Now, I don't know what time school starts in Ireland or England for that matter, but yeah, I agree with Mike there. U.S. schools start extremely early.
Not only were there students who would be, going to class there, but also students who were waiting to take a bus, which would take them to...
I'm not tired, my eyes are dry, so excuse me real quick, because I am gonna go get some eye drops. That is a hell of a lot better. Sorry about that.
Either Lake Academy, which was a small school for at-risk youth, or Auburn Career Center, where students might take computer classes and whatnot. In this huge crowd in the school cafeteria that early, dark winter's morning, there was one student who was sitting alone. He stood up, he walked over to another table where there was 4 students sitting down, and he pulled out a gun and he started shooting.
Chardin High School, we had shots fired, gunshots, multiple gunshots.
That day, 3 boys were killed. 16-year-old Demetrius Hewlin, 16-year-old Daniel Parmenter, and 17-year-old Russell King Jr. Another 17-year-old boy, Nick Walzak, was paralyzed. 2 other students, 16-year-old Nate Mueller and 18-year-old Joy Rickers, were also shot, but only had minor injuries. This story is difficult to tell. I was actually in 2 minds if I should tell it at all, but well, I guess here I am. It's a story of pure evil, heartbreak, but there's also bravery too. And I guess I'll tell it in that order. So to begin, we have to go back to 1994, when Thomas Michael T.J. Lane was born. T.J. Lane is an evil son of a bitch. It wasn't always, though. I mean, apparently, allegedly, or at least people don't think he was always. But he certainly was from February 2012 to present day, so that's almost as long as before, really. In 2012, TJ was 17 years of age, born in 1994 to parents Sarah Nolan and Thomas Lane Jr. He was a native of Chardin, and his parents were not a good fit. Not a good fit if you were not looking for a violent relationship. Both kind of bet the pure shite out of each other, and they were fans of the off to a good start there. And it didn't stop when the parents were separated either. Thomas Jr. was later charged with beating and kidnapping a woman he married after Sarah. So yeah, kind of kneecapped out of the gate, you know, woo! So then Thomas TJ, their son, he would go and live with his mother's grandparents because, well, they weren't really working out. Though later, it seems they cleaned up their act. It seems his mother, she quit the drink, she moved in with the parents and TJ. Same with his father, Thomas Lane Jr. He flew right in later years and was trying to be there for his kids, and TJ would spend time with them too. Wait a second, so Thomas Lane Jr. is his dad, so his granddad is probably Thomas Lane Sr. So that would make TJ Lane Thomas Michael Lane, Thomas Lane the Third. TJ would also spend time with the police before we get to what we will.
Little known fact, I am the third. Or as Mike would say, I am the turd. Did it?
Well, you know, eventually get to a couple of years down the line. In 2009, the cops were called to his grandparents.
Sorry, I wanted to see this. It's a juvenile novel. So.
Parents' house. Seems he and a cousin beat the living shite out of an uncle for one reason or another. That same year, he also punched another student in the face and showed.
Just came to pick up my 16-year-old nephew, X6, from his grandparents' house. He appeared to be high and ran out of the back door wearing a gray and green parka and blue jeans. 7 height, 107. God. It's as much as my arm weighs. He was very disoriented. His deputies were leaving. The juveniles were out of control again. Deputies returned.
He would be charged with disorderly conduct both time and have to do community.
Physically fighting, deputies could hear parties yelling.
Community service. And then, in 2011, he was charged with failure to control a motor vehicle and had to pay a fine. So a little bit of trouble here, and a little bit of trouble there. I mean, I suppose now when you're looking back there, red flags! But nothing really too serious, though he grew up in a very dysfunctional, to say the least, household. TJ Lane didn't have the things you usually see. The bedwetting, fire setting, the cruelty to animals. Most other students said he was fine, normal kid. You know, he didn't have many friends, but he did have friends. He was doing just fine. He was known as the quiet kid, reserved. Like I said, he had friends, not many, but he did have them. Didn't act too weird, and in fact he was said to be kind from time to time. He did attend the Lake Academy, the school for at-risk youth. Seems he did have trouble learning, but I mean, that's not... But I guess on the inside he was becoming unrecognizable. That morning in the cafeteria in February 2012, TJ was waiting on a bus to go to the Lake Academy. The 4 boys who were sitting on the other table were waiting to go to the Auburn Career Center. TJ, wearing a sweater with "Killer" written on it, simply walked up, pulled out his gun, and pointed it at Russell King Jr.'s head and fired. He then fired at Demetrius.
He saw the alleged shooter, who he identified as 17-year-old junior TJ Lane, sitting by himself at a table behind them.
We heard a loud pop, like a firecracker almost.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I looked, and he was standing above his table, pointing his gun, and he took one more shot.
After opening fire at 5 students, he then fled the cafeteria as pandemonium rang out. As he fled, he shot another student, Joy. He fired 10 shots in all. TJ was actually chased out of the cafeteria by an extremely brave coach. Coach Frank Hall charged TJ as he was aiming the gun at him. It seems TJ ran out of bullets. And then he chased him out of the school. Another staff member, Joseph Ricci, had just started class when he heard gunfire. He locked down the room, put on a bulletproof vest, and dragged one of...
Jesus Christ. Did you guys hear that?
Another staff member, Joseph Ricci, had just started class when he heard gunfire. He locked down the room, put on a bulletproof vest, and dragged one of the shot students into the class, saving his life. Though it's also quite terrifying the idea that a teacher would have a bulletproof vest with him in a school. TJ was then arrested right outside the school by police.
Hardly a ruckus. One trooper.
There's really not a lot you can say when you're responsible for the safety of 3,100 kids, other than the fact that we're going to do the best we can to make sure that our schools continue to be safe. We're going to continue to work with law enforcement, and I hope every parent, if you haven't hugged or kissed your kid in the last couple of days, you take that time.
So why did this happen? What made TJ just snap and open up in the middle of a packed cafeteria in his high school? Well, some said TJ was bullied, but that's kind of unconfirmed. It seems that as he grew, he was becoming more and more of a loner, but even still, people said he was fine. He just became more reserved, more quiet. There's also some other people were saying that Russell King Jr., the first person TJ shot, he was now dating TJ Lane's ex-girlfriend, and that Russell had threatened to beat the shit out of TJ. There was some kind of love stuff, but even that's like unconfirmed too. These are all just like rumors that were going around. In fact, there's never really been a full-on motive established.
He was just a person that wanted to hide himself and keep all of his emotions in.
The kind of guy that would sit by himself and just never bother anybody.
The Chardin High School students are describing TJ Lane, the teen accused of killing 3 students and shooting 2 more last month. The students say Lane was unpopular and came from a broken home.
The boys he killed had been nice to him a week before. Both Russell and one of the other boys who had been there but wasn't shot, they drove by TJ when he was walking alone, and they offered him a ride home. 2 months before, TJ posted this on Facebook. In a time long since, a time of repent, the Renaissance, in a quaint, lonely town sits a man with a frown. No job, no family, no crown. His luck had run out. Lost and alone, the streets were his home. Blah blah blah, big load of shite. But it does end with, how improper, how rude. However, they shall not mind the mud on my feet if there is blood on your sheet. Now, feel death, not just mocking you. Not just stalking you, but inside of you. Wriggle and ride. Feel smaller beneath my might. Seizure in the pestilence that is my side. Die, all of you. So yeah, that's a clue. Much obliged to all who liked this. Wrote it myself in class one day. Wow, look at you. The gun, by the way, that he actually used, it was like an old school Ruger, that was actually his uncle's. It had been kept in his granddad's barn, and nobody realized it was missing until after the fact.
As thousands lined the streets Saturday to say goodbye to one of their own.
This represents Chardin. Chardin is here for the family, and we're all standing here for the family.
You wish there's something you can do for the families, but just support. That's all you can do.
This time to support the family and friends of 16-year-old Demetrius Hewlin.
Something this devastating happening to the community, everyone has to just come together.
All the love that's going around here is completely amazing.
Demetrius' life was remembered by loved ones during funeral services at St. Mary Catholic Church in Chardin. 17-year-old Russell King Jr.
He was always super nice. I sat across from him on the bus. He always made me laugh a lot. He was so funny, and had math class with him, and It's really different without him.
King is the third and final victim of the Chardin shootings to be buried.
TJ was charged as an adult, charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of aggravated attempted murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. He initially pleaded not guilty and said he heard voices in his head, that he had been sexually abused as a child. He also said he chose the victims randomly, said he didn't know them.
He confessed to taking the .22 pistol to school along with a knife. He admitted he went into the school cafeteria and fired 10 rounds at a group of students sitting at a cafeteria table. That he did not know the students, but he chose them randomly.
That was obviously untrue. He did know these people. In fact, he was friends with most of them on Facebook. That was provably true. And then again, there was also the rumor about Russell maybe dating TJ's ex and all this stuff. So, whatever it was, he didn't just choose them at random.
And therefore we request until September, the end of September, to complete our testing and enter a plea of not guilty for reason of insanity.
Or not guilty because of reason of insanity. I feel that's he knew what he was doing from the start. He planned it. You know, he brought the guns to school even the night before. He had it all planned out.
I think that's just a way out of stuff.
All the news reports and the kids that were interviewed said that, like, he had no expression, and who is in their right mind that does something like that?
So TJ was spouting all of this bullshit about, you know, wasn't me, was it the judge then ordered a competency hearing, and TJ was found to be very competent entirely. He would later say no, he hadn't heard any voices, he hadn't been sexually abused at all.
And causing the death of Demetrius Hewlett.
So, that's screaming attention more than anything, right? At least, to me, that's just screaming, hey, look at me. And he's one of the dipshits that, you know, wants to create a viral video. And I know this is a poor analogy, but, you know, let's create a viral video. Let's go do something completely fucking stupid that's going to cause minimum wage employees to clean up after your mess. In this case, this prick, piece of shit, motherfucker, goes and kills 3 innocent kids and paralyzes another because, oh, I want attention, look at me, you know. And then, oh yeah, I used to, you know, I was hearing voices when I was younger, and oh yeah, I was sexually abused. I mean, that's just a little piece of shit wanting attention.
Being aggravated murder. Yes. Causing the death of Russell King Jr. being aggravated murder. Yes, sir. Causing the death of Daniel Palmer Thorpe being aggravated murder. Yes, sir.
And so 6 months later, he pleaded guilty. Now this meant the death penalty, as he was charged as an adult, was off the table. And it would also spare the extremely distraught families having to endure a trial. Usually, you know, as we've seen in many cases, right, at sentencing, the perpetrator, they're usually still in denial. Didn't do it, you got the wrong guy! Or they're like, you know, I'm so sorry, it was an accident, or blah, 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 you know what I mean? It's usually one or the other. They're still in denial, or they take responsibility, you know, to some extent. Not TJ Lane. He didn't do either. In fact, I've never seen anyone do anything quite as sick and disturbing as what he did.
His attorney didn't even know. Look at him. God, he just has a fucking face that I wish I could punch.
That t-shirt is saying killer, which was written on a sweater the day he did the shooting. I don't think his attorney knew he was wearing it under his shirt. As you can see here, he looks, not best pleased. The judge didn't either.
Yes, Demetrius, and I have enough memories to last me a lifetime. That child stole my baby's life, and he should never be able to do this to anyone ever again. Thank you.
You're lucky I have to read this because I'd be staring at you the whole time. Why? Why did you do it? Why?
You murdered my son, Danny. You are a killer. You're a pathetic excuse for a human being. In fact, you're not even a human being. You don't deserve to be called human. You're a monster and will forever be titled a triple murderer.
His attorney also advised him not to speak, as if, you know, if he ever wanted to appeal, this could come up.
You can make it from where you sit. What? You can make it seated where you are, if you would. One moment. Take your time.
You know, I would totally be petty as fuck. I would be like, you know what? Enjoy not having any female attention for the rest of your life, you little prick. I know you're gonna enjoy dropping the soap. I would totally. I mean, I would probably get. What do they call it when they arrest you for? Yeah, I would probably be arrested for contempt of court, and hopefully, when they, 'cause I know, you know, they probably move him first and all that, but man, if they moved us at the same time, I would just cold cock the back of his knees. He just, you know, oh my god. Like, I've never seen, like, there's been a couple people that have that attitude that think, oh my god, you know, look at me, I'm the shit. You know, I was too much of a bitch to, you know, fight any of these people, so I killed them. But, I mean, just a smug-ass look on his face, I was just, I'm sorry, guys, I'm just, yeah.
He did anyway.
Alright, it's fantastic. Saying to pull the trigger to kill your son, you know, masturbates to memory. Love you.
I don't even know what
Can we all, like, collectively give a hearty fuck this guy? He was.
Alright, it's fantastic. Saying to pull the trigger to kill your son, you know, masturbates to memory. Love you.
Can we all, like, collectively give a hearty fuck this guy? He was sentenced to 3 life sentences without parole.
I love Mike. I'm sorry, I gotta repeat.
You with
Mike.
life sentences without parole. Fuck this guy. He was sentenced all, like, collectively. Can we all, like, collectively give a hearty fuck this guy? He was sentenced to 3 life sentences without parole. You would think the story ends there. It don't.
Breaking right now, a massive manhunt underway for the Chardin school shooter. TJ Lane and another inmate escaped from prison just a little over an hour ago.
In 2014, while being held at Allen Oakwood Correctional Institution in Lima, on the other side of Ohio, TJ Lane escaped prison. Of all the bastards, this is the little shit who makes it. Bollocks! Chardin High School went into lockdown as soon as the news reached them. And TJ Lane, along with 2 other bigger boys, woo, they managed...
Look, you could kind of tell. I mean, you see the dipshits right here. And I've seen the other dipshit over here somewhere. But, look at the razor wire. Usually, I mean, it's up, up, up. And then down. I hope that asshole got cut.
The high-tech technique of scaling the fence to get out. They were on their recreation time at the time. You know, I was always led to believe that outside of prisons there'd be like snipers and mines, but no. TJ Lane managed to escape with both his legs intact, unfortunately.
Just spoke with one of the corrections officers. He advised that the two that we're trying to track down are both doing life. They've got nothing to lose here, so be alert.
One of the escapees was caught right quick, Lane, and the other, though, evaded capture. For about 6 hours.
All 3 escaped inmates out of an Ohio prison are back in custody, including convicted school shooter TJ Lane.
Which inmate? I believe it's a young one. TJ Lane. He's in custody.
Yeah, see, there were some woods outside the prison, and he was in there. He was caught with a pitchfork, of all things. He was ready to defend himself, I understand. He was taken back in without too much struggle. In prison, he was also a complete wank bag, getting in trouble all the time. From pissing on the walls, to giving himself a tattoo, to refusing to do work, he'd get shit-canned in the can. After the escape, he was transferred to a maximum security prison. And that's where he remains to this day,
Florence,
in a
Colorado.
tiny box where he will stay till his life runs out.
Good.
With nothing but the memories of what he did. Chardin recovered, kind of, as best it could. After the shooting, the rate of teenagers seeking mental health treatment skyrocketed. Treatment for post-traumatic stress being number 1. Exactly 2 years after the shooting, Russell King's father, Russell King Sr., was found dead inside his home. His cause of death was an overdose, but he really died of a broken heart.
Rest in peace.
Frank Hall, the coach who chased TJ out of the school, later set up the Coach Hall Foundation, basically on a mission to travel around and make schools safer places. It has its work cut out. Many of the people who were there that day, they still carry the scars, with them. PTSD, nightmares, over a decade later. Unfortunately, it's also a story which has become far too common. I don't think I have a whole lot more to say on that. It's a tough story. It's a story of evil. Pure evil. I can't see anything redeemable about him at all. There are the rumors of the bullying, rumors of the girlfriend thing. Neither were confirmed, and it seems like he just wanted to do it. So he did it. Ending the lives of Tree, by all accounts, great guys. Paralyzing another, one of our friends, also, supposed to be a decent guy, and ruining countless lives. I'd also say he ruined his own, but who cares?
Who gives a shit?
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate doing so, getting to the end, which is now, if you're hearing this. I think I'll have to make the next video just a little bit, maybe lighter, it'll feature this, so. These books were written by someone who either knows nothing about writing, or is either ignorant of, or willfully ignoring the concept of something interesting.
That was
Alright, I'll see you as always real soon in the next old video, but until then, please take care of each other and yourselves. Because I love you. Mike Gale.
Love you too, Mike. Thank you for what you do, man. Still telling you, the best content creator, in my opinion. And let's give him a like. Oh, already gave him a like. You know what? I need to start tipping him. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start tipping him. Yeah, the very next video after this. I don't want to ruin it for you, but let's just say it was a horrible writer who wrote novels on how to kill your husband, and lo and behold, what does she do? Yeah. To kind of add to what he covered, I was shocked to find this out. See, I think it's obvious. In this day and age, we have information that is just at our fingertips. Little was I aware that school shootings are actually down since the 90s. And when I did a little research on my own about that, I came across they weren't necessarily independent studies, but studies by individuals who were with the FBI and numerous other agencies, not the NRP. Again, I have absolutely nothing against guns. I do have something against guns when they're at a public school. And it just makes me feel just anxiety knowing that my little girl is progressing in age to where she'll soon be in high school in the next 6-7 years or so. But this is what I'm talking about here. School shooting and mass school shootings 92, 93 through 2014 and 2015. Now, of course, this doesn't take into account Uvalde. I cannot recall when Sandy Hook took place. I want to say 2014, but I might be wrong, so I apologize if I'm wrong on that. But mass school shootings, 4 or more killed, excluding the assailants by firearms at a school. Multiple victim school shootings, 4 or more victims and at least 2 killed, excluding the assailant by firearms at a school. And fatal school shootings, at least 1 individual killed by firearms at a school. And from 92 to 93, I mean, look at this. I mean, I've told the I've told the story countless amounts of times. And I'll just pull up a map here real quick. Let's see. Oh, no, not Quincy. Let's try Bowles. Bowles and Wadsworth. So here's Columbine Library maps. I don't think I was on Bulls. Here's Bulls. Here's Kipling. So wouldn't be Quincy. So the day of Columbine, this is Littleton, and well, this is I don't want to say Littleton County. I forget what county. Arapahoe County, I believe it's at. Wadsworth, and at the time, me and my best friend, he used to work at Circuit City, and for those of you who don't know, Circuit City was like Best Buy's biggest competition, and he used to work in the car audio department. And at the time, I was really into car audio. His friend was unbelievable when it came to making custom built boxes, and I had a 99 Eclipse, and I had bought 2 15-inch MTX under 5,000, 2 amps, yellow top battery, and they installed the whole thing for me. And I mean, this thing just, it was insane. So they moved it out, and what it is nowadays, it's a Whole Foods, but it is approximately, let's see, Costco, It is about here. And nowadays it's a Whole Foods. So we're hanging out outside, just bullshitting, you know, whatever. And I mean, we just hear cop car after cop car. And Wadsworth is one of your busier streets here in Colorado. And for as far as they had to go to Columbine's in this location. And I mean, to hear all these cars just wailing down over here. The thing is this, though, is that Denver, the way Denver is in the county cuts off about right at Quincy. So here's Quincy Avenue, and this is where the city and county of Denver cuts off. Now, the rest of this is Jefferson County. So, city and county of Lakewood would be your cops, and Jefferson County would be your sheriffs. But everybody who was rushing was Denver. This was unprecedented because, as most people know, the county where something is taking place is the county that takes care of the problem. But Denver kept on receiving word that Jefferson County was just posting up along certain areas of Columbine High School. And it gave Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris all this time to just go around and create more and more carnage. So finally, cruisers for Denver showed up, paramedics for Denver showed up. The paramedics, they were heroes. They started just to friggin' drag kids out. One of them, which is believed that his sister was the first one killed. She had dropped him off. She went to go park, and as she was walking into school, she was confronted by those two fucking monsters, and they just killed her right outside the school. And when he came running outside, he got shot at, and the bullet caught his backpack, and it spun his backpack around, and it hit him in the spine. He became paralyzed, but through hard-ass work, he could walk again. And I know in one of the interviews that he gave, you know, he always feels like it was his fault of why they were late, of why his sister got shot. But, you know, mad kudos to Denver, because Denver is the one who brought their SWAT. They didn't have as much time as Jefferson County did to storm the school, so they put together a plan as fast as humanly possible, and by the time they entered the school, they those two fucking cowards killed themselves. The thing about it is that my best friend at the time, the one who was doing the car audio for me, his father was on the police force, on the Denver police force for 35 plus years as a detective, and was just getting ready to transfer over to internal affairs. And his father was one of the first ones in the school after they were confirmed dead. And you know, talk about, I mean, he would talk about some cases, but that was just one where it just kind of hit close to home because, you know, here is his son. And at the time, his son was like, well, not his son, my best friend. Him and I were the same age. Our birthdays are only 6 days apart. And we were extremely close. I mean, his father would invite me every single Sunday to the barbecues at his house. And I think it really hit home knowing that something like that could have happened to him. And something like that could have happened to his friends like myself. And, you know, to think that, you know, school shootings are down when we live in an age of technology where, you know, there's so much information at our fingertips. I mean, from this, I don't even think the school shootings that we hear about are even remotely close to this. So, it would be interesting to know. But anyways, thank you once again to Mike from that chapter. I mean, the dude, he kills it every time. I'm sorry, that was a poor choice of words, and I wasn't trying to use any puns there. But, you know, Mike is just, he's an all-star, so, you know, definitely go show him some love. Definitely like his content. Definitely subscribe to his content. I know times are tough for some people, but if you have the means, you know, definitely donate to him. So, anyways, guys, I know this was a little bit of a long video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, until next time, feel free to leave any comments, anything else that you guys want to check out, listen to, whatever. So yeah, hope you guys all have a wonderful Friday afternoon. Jesus Christ. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. Stay safe and peace.